The U.S. announces sanctions and visa restrictions on Israeli settlers involved in attacks on Palestinians in the occupied West Bank.
Marwan Bishara, Al Jazeera senior political analyst, with me on set. And Marwan, one of the stories we've had in the bulletin, and I want to pick up on it, is this decision by the United States, the State Department, to sanction, essentially, settlers by refusing them visas if they've been involved in violence on the West Bank. And we know that there's an awful lot of that sort of thing going on. The big question, though, is why? What is the point? Because a lot of these people are dual nationals. They have US citizenship anyway. It doesn't prevent most of them from visiting the United States. It's a particularly kind of toothless measure. What's the point?
Well, Jonah, I think we can all use a bit of comedy in the middle of this tragedy. And this has been quite comical. I mean, I actually laughed for the first time in a long time when I heard of the American measure to sanction those hooligans in the West Bank. To say toothless and to say hollow, I mean, it's really understatement. I can't remember in recent memory anything more stupid than this measure, anything sillier, anything more absurd than this measure. And Secretary of State Antony Blinken, you can say a lot of things about him, but he's not funny. This was funny. I mean, this was hilarious, to be honest. And you said that a lot of them are dual nationals. In fact, the hilltop youth, these are the hooligans that keep, banging and hitting and destroying things. Apparently, 1 out of 2 of them have an American parent. So they actually, not only do they dual national, they actually bred and fed and ideologically and otherwise from their American roots, right? So America is actually in some way responsible for them. Okay, so there's that bit, right? The comical bit. But then the more serious stuff is the thing that America's not doing. I'll give you one simple example. Hundreds of millions of dollars are streamed from the United States to the radical right and to the settler movement that support these kinds of activities, these kinds of hooligans in the West Bank. They come from the United States, and they are tax deductible, meaning an American can contribute money to these hooligans, and they will take it out of their taxes, which means indirectly it's the American government that is subsidizing these hooligans. Because when you deduct these things from your taxes, what you're saying is that the American government is sanctioning the contributions to these hooligans and to these illegal settlers. Now, historically speaking, America did recognize for a long time that these are illegal, that the settlements are illegal in general, not just the hooligans among the settlers, not just the far right, not just the fanatics. The settlements are illegal. Now, the United States went from totally illegal to unhelpful and so on and so forth. But under Obama and under Biden, these are illegal settlements. So America can do far more if it wants to show a sign of moderation, a sign of humane diplomacy, a sign that it does care for the Palestinians. It will not allow Israeli impunity in occupied territory. It certainly can do more.
Well, again, I want to ask you, what is the point? Because we talk about, and we hear talk of American talk about reining Israel in. We hear calls for action. There is a void of action. Into this void of action, you put a meaningless bit of action. What is the point?
Deception. The point is deception. It is deflection. It's redirection, meaning the United States now stands accused of being complicit in war crimes. The American public opinion, in its majority, according to the polls, want a ceasefire, a permanent ceasefire. The majority of young Democrats want the United States to stop helping Israel's genocide in the Palestinian territories. Most Americans, and this is very important, please, let's just take that in. Most Americans support two-state solution, the real one, not the ones that the Biden administration is faking in order to cover up for Israel's genocide. How can you be for two-state solution and support financially and otherwise the settlements that are cutting through the Palestinian territories? What you end up with is not Swiss Federation, you end up with Swiss cheese. And that's what they're doing to the occupied Palestinian territories, with some 750,000 illegal settlers in over 200 settlements. What you are doing, you are cutting the prospective Palestinian state into something like 200 Bandustans. That's not the way to go if you're really for a two-state solution. That's not the way to go if you are responsive to your own public opinion in the United States. So to call for a visa ban, that's just a cheap shot. That's just a deception.
Marwan, thank you.